don't think, most likely they don't think to go back to those countries. They like to go to some Arab countries because life there is much easier, not because of a real hijrah reason. Okay? Now, some people might say, what's wrong if we want to go to those Arab countries? As I said to you, brothers, first of all, you will be seen as a foreigner. You cannot settle there permanently. And as I said also, that you will have very limited options in da'wah. Very, very limited options in da'wah. And most importantly, brothers, on a long run, you are not doing well for yourself. Because some people say that we want to go to those Arab countries in order to seek knowledge. Okay, but you started to seek knowledge the first year, second year, and you continue to seek knowledge for 10 years. But after that, are you going to still seek knowledge? After that, you have to start advocating the knowledge that you have sought before, that you have acquired before. Then, is it allowed for you to do this or not? In most of those countries that I have mentioned, it is not allowed for you to do that. That's why, brothers and sisters, I mention this to say that in order to be balanced, yes, sometimes you can go to some of those countries like Egypt, like Saudi Arabia, like other countries for a temporary period of time in order to acquire knowledge and planning to go back to your country, which is the UK. That is fine. That is not considered to be hijrah, and that is out of our discussion. Okay? But once we talk about hijrah, we are talking about a person who is just going there and he's not planning to come back here, or maybe he is planning to come back here after 50 or 30 years. Okay? So these are the options, and once we explore these options, we find that those options are not feasible options, not workable options, and therefore we can conclude that Muslims living here, they should continue living here, just simply because they don't have another option, another workable option, another viable option. As simple as that. That Muslim who is facing a very devastating situation in the desert, and he has only one option, which is to eat from that dead flesh, we tell him, okay, eat from it and make it as a darura, as much as make it very minimum in order to keep yourself alive. Okay? And you can continue on that state of darura as far as you don't see other option. Similarly, we say to the Muslims here, the situation is that you should continue living here because you don't have any other option, and as far as you don't have any other option, you just need to continue living here and taking it as your country. This is one thing. The other thing is let us talk about the ruling of living in non-Muslim country, provided that there are other options for Muslims to use. Yeah, is this clear? Yani the first point, ruling of Muslims living in non-Muslim countries where there is no option or no practical option for them. That was the first point. Now let us talk about the second point, which is the second part of the lecture, which is what? Let us take the ruling of living in a non-Muslim country while you can go and live permanently in a Muslim country. Okay? Now, brothers, just again, once we speak about this, and once we say living in a non-Muslim country, while you can go to a Muslim country, this means that there is a classification of abodes here, which is Darul Islam, a Muslim country, and a non-Muslim country, because we said living in a non-Muslim country. This implies that there is what? A Muslim country. So, of course there are so many non-Muslim countries, and there are so many Muslim countries. However, the situation now is totally different from the situation before, as we said. The situation now is that there is no single Muslim country that is welcoming all Muslims. There is no Khilafah for Muslims. There is no Khalifa among there is no Khalifa among his responsibility is to welcome all Muslims living in all countries. Okay, because he is the Khalifa, he is the representative of Muslims, and he should welcome all Muslims who want to flee their countries, to flee to his country, to flee to that Khilafah. Otherwise it won't be a Khilafah that cater for Muslims. So it is not there. There are some Muslim countries, and none of them, brothers, is welcoming or is willing to accept what? All Muslims fleeing non-Muslim countries. Yeah? Is there any country like this? I'm asking you. Is there any country like this? Yani, if you say Pakistan will take the Pakistanis, but what about the Indians? If they say we want to go to Pakistan, the first people to kill the Indians are the Pakistani Muslims. Is that true or not? Pakistanis will become angry when I say this. You have seen so many conflicts between Muslim Pakistanis and Muslim Indians. It happened so many times during history that Muslim Indians fled India to go to Pakistan, and the Pakistani, mostly Muslims, they were fighting them to expel them, to kick them out of India, out of Pakistan. Is that true or not? And they used to call them immigrants, and they used to look down to them, etc., etc. It happened so many times during history, and they were telling them, go to your country, this is not your country. Okay? Yes, maybe in some other situations, yes, some Muslims from India could flee and could settle in Pakistan, but on a bulk, are you imagining that Pakistan will accept 150 million Muslims to flee India and to settle in Pakistan? Of course, they will not allow that. Okay? What about Muslims in China? If they want to flee China, to leave Dar al-Kufr in China and to go to Dar al-Islam, which Dar al-Islam is going to accept 1 million Chinese Muslims? Unfortunately, brothers, there were 4 or 5 or 6, or I don't remember exactly, I think 4 Chinese Muslims in Guantanamo. Yeah, in Guantanamo, and they were freed, and they were not accused of any so-called terrorism crime, and they stayed in Guantanamo for how many years? You know about their case? For 4 years. Why? Any one of you know? Because there was no Muslim country to welcome them. Subhanallah. No Muslim country to accept 4 or 6 poor Chinese Muslims. And at the end of the day, who accepted them? Albania. And they went to Albania. Are you telling me that 50 million Muslims living in China, or 100 million Muslims in China, can go to Egypt or can go to Saudi Arabia or can go and make Hijrah to Emirates? No one will do that. The other thing, you know the Palestinians who were expelled from Iraq? Yeah?